I wanted to speak on toxic masculinity and the misrepresentation of actually what it means to be a man in the media and in the public domain. But before I get to that topic, there's something else, or should I say someone else, I think is more imperative to get to first, so I don't risk conflating the two topics. And that person would be Andrew Tate. By now, I'd assume most people know who Andrew Tate is, but if you don't, he's an American-British former professional kickboxer and social media personality whose real claim to fame was posting provocative and ultra-masculine content on social media. As of recording this video, Tate is currently being detained in Romanian jail for charges on organized crime, human trafficking, and rape. So I was first exposed to Andrew Tate not too long ago, maybe around halfway into 2022. Some friends sent me some clips on Instagram because we know he's banned on Instagram at the time. So they just sent me some clips, and then I saw the Piers Morgan interview with him. And initially, at a first glance, Andrew Tate kind of made sense to me, right? You know, as a young man, you gotta work on yourself. It's your duty to protect your wife, protect your possessions, protect your woman, your children. That's why we have like the Second Amendment, you know, defending your property. He's telling you gotta think for yourself. The establishment wants to keep you down. They don't want you to be your own being. They want you to conform to society how they would like you.
And they believe, well, I won't say quite rightly, but I understand why they believe it, that they're better than everybody else. They believe that they're literally a different species than everybody else. We're peasants, we're ants. We're nothing to these people. So if they tell you to do something, you better do it. So if you stand up and say that's dumb, then they go, whoa, who's the big mouth? Oh, this ant's smart. And they'll find a way to check you.
So it made sense to me upon initially hearing about some of his content, but as time went on and I ingested more and more and was exposed to more and more of his videos on Instagram or YouTube, or I've seen more of his dialect on snippets from, let's say, like Twitter, is when I really started to kind of see the hinges and the wheels begin to fall off of this wagon, and how problematic some of Andrew Tate's messages really were. Now, this video isn't to deconstruct every bit of rhetoric and every video Andrew Tate has ever created. This video is more so to kind of speak on why some of Andrew Tate's messages resonate with certain people, particularly young, maybe even older, but disenfranchised men. Now, before I get into some of the points I had listed out, I gotta touch on the first one, the kids, right? The 12, 13, 14-year-olds that eat up all that Andrew Tate content and that everyone's worried about. And honestly, I feel like when you're really at that age, you know, a middle schooler, a high schooler, as a young boy, like, you're kind of dumb. Like, let's be real. You're dumb. This is why we don't send kids to adult prison. Your mind's not fully matured yet. You haven't been socialized on how to behave acceptable in society yet. Like, biologically, they're just not there yet. So that's just kind of the nature, right? I'm sure if anyone of you listening has ever played Call of Duty, you'll know for a fact that Call of Duty lobbies are the most toxic and problematic chats on the planet.
Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. You pussy. Right. Yum, 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 I eat dick all day. Yum, 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 I eat dick. You wanna fight dick? You eat dick, nigga? What a fucking homo. You eat dick. Nigga say.
But that's part of the fun. That's actually kind of what makes Call of Duty fun, and that's why I bought the new Modern Warfare 2. But that's besides the point. That's just how young boys are. So you can see when you already have that mentality, it's easy to get swooped up into the Andrew Tate fandom. Now, there's three main reasons I believe Andrew Tate resonates so much with men. First is it appeals to men's baseline needs to compete and dominate.
Domination.
Second, men feel like they're being replaced in today's society. And third, the deconstruction or the overcorrecting on what it means to be masculine.
Men are not meant to be dominant. Men are meant to be submissive. They're meant to be worker ants. They're supposed to listen to women.
So the first point about men's baseline need to dominate, it's very self-explanatory. As men, we like to compete against each other, and we have that belief, we run this house, women need to listen to us. And this reminds me of an old saying: if you have to tell people you're in charge, you're not in charge. If you have to tell people you're dangerous, you're not dangerous. And this is what I'm trying to share with young men, that we need to find more constructive means of maintaining our status in society. And if you're a guy getting no play from women, you can see how they might start internalizing Tate's rhetoric a little bit more. A woman's place is in the kitchen, where's my sandwich, she's my property. And the thing is, it's not necessarily that Tate is radicalizing men. It's that some of these men already have these thoughts, and now it's just coming front and center since Tate has taken the stage.
Achieved in a year what took Drake a decade. What are my overall thoughts on Andrew Tate? Look, I think he accelerated what needed to be accelerated. I think he was a net positive for like so many young men in this world who have been kind of cast aside and that no one talks about. He basically found this whole audience of like the people no one cares about, and he empowered them. And if we want a better tomorrow, if we want a better future, if we want, you know, a pro-capitalistic, entrepreneurial, innovative society, you need engaged and excited young men.
Now the next point is about how men feel like they're being removed from society, that they are no longer the breadwinners or bread earners, that women are going to replace them, and that they're trying to tear down the patriarchy. Constantly hearing in the media about strong, independent women who don't need a man, or on social media, women asking, why do we need a man? What are they good for?
Do you think men are important? Like for what?
Just a daily reminder that I ain't never seen a man that I f***ing need, bitch. You're all replaceable. Don't ever get too comfortable, and don't ever think otherwise. You're a guest in this household, and you can be kicked out just as quickly as you were welcomed in.
Scientists have now discovered a way for women to impregnate themselves using their own bone marrow, and the only child that can result from those pregnancies are female. So we no longer have any need for you, genetically or physically. So, you know, tread lightly.
And I can kind of see some of these trends in the society as a whole. I mean, we released The Merchant of Death for a WNBA player. When we have our boy Paul Whelan, US Marine, and one of the reasons Americans can sip vanilla chai lattes on Sunday mornings and not worry about international terrorists arriving on our shore, he's still locked up in Russia. Now, don't get me wrong, I don't condone this kind of behavior from young men. I believe that they should find better role models and better alternatives during these times, especially if they feel disenfranchised. For me, I don't really feel disenfranchised. You know, I have a girlfriend, I have a good career, but I still have things I do that are able to release some tension, release energy. I practice Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I shoot my guns at the range. I read self-development books, and I like to go to the gym. These are just better alternatives than going online and spreading misogynistic hate speech. It's not conducive. Even if there are some women that do that to us, we need to rise above that and show true strength. Because fully buying into Andrew Tate's message and behaving like this doesn't make more women want you. It doesn't make you more money, or at least money that you're proud of. And it continues the cycle. It perpetuates this cycle of polarizing us more and more.
Do you think that toxic masculinity is a problem that we need to address in society?
In society, I'd say it definitely is something we should address.
It's definitely an issue that
most of us face in some way or another.
I'm actually a women and gender studies minor, so we talk a lot about toxic masculinity in some of my classes.
I definitely think it is an issue at large.
I've absolutely heard of toxic masculinity, and I do think it's an issue.
I think it's a huge issue.
I did not punch you, I was hitting you. I'm not sitting here bitching about it, am I? You are. That's the difference between me and you. You're a fucking baby. You are such a baby!
Of course not. But the problem is, in this society, male energy, male thinking, male energy is vilified. And you're taught to think there's something wrong with being masculine.
Now, my final point is about the deconstruction of masculinity and the overcorrecting from toxic masculinity. And I believe these conversations were started in good nature for a good reason, but I believe they've been doing more harm than good. And with men being pushed more and more onto the fringes of society because they aren't the right kind of man, quote unquote, you can see how this will push them to join more niche groups. I don't believe the problems are with masculinity or toxic masculinity, whatever the hell that means. I believe actually the problem is not enough masculinity. The United States is actually the country with the most fatherless homes. The most. About 23% of homes are fatherless. That's above the world average of 7%. And I feel for men who are really suffering and they're turning to Andrew Tate, that they need that figure in their life and they find it in him. And the solution really isn't to ban Andrew Tate, or, I mean, he has his trial going on and I'll see what the verdict is with that. But I believe you really need to get to the root cause as to why men are turning into that direction, that we're failing them at a certain point and that's leading them down this road. That's really what's going on, and that's actually what we really do need to address first and foremost.
Bow, 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 bow. Him, her, him, bodies.
Nice feeling, tired you be a hero, but live long enough to see yourself become a villain.